Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic, and welcome back to the channel. And today, with you guys is another podcast with my good internet buddy Recon Trooper.
Hey there, folks. Recon Trooper here, and if you're watching my version, as all the others, I hope you enjoy the Godzilla gameplay, the Force Unleashed gameplay, and possibly some Call of Duty gameplay in the background. Just be aware that the Godzilla gameplay may not look quite right because I recorded my TV screen and not the actual on-the-console game, because my 360 sucks for that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it gets the job done.
Yeah.
And then if you guys are watching mine, make sure to enjoy the Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay. In fact, I'm not even recording my gameplay. Hang on. All right, we're good. Yeah, enjoy my my gameplay. Well, there you go. But anyway, we have some good topics here. We got some MonsterVerse. Obviously, I've seen most of the MonsterVerse. The only thing I haven't seen for you guys listening is the Monarch Legacy of Monsters show, because I don't have access to that.
Yeah,
but
same here.
I think that's. I know you told me it's on eBay or something, and so I'll have to
it
check
is
that out.
now. It is now, but it's an Apple TV Plus thing, which apparently Apple are pretty good for releasing their stuff physically, but I don't know at this point. I mean, I read a thing saying that you have to wait like a year before that happens or something, and it was on eBay right when I was looking, because I ordered something else that hopefully will allow me to record better on my 360, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get this now, like. But,
why now? That's cool.
So, I also have a MonsterVerse quiz for you.
Oh, jeez.
Don't worry. 6 questions and some multiple choice answers, just in case you don't remember it all.
Oh, thank goodness.
So, yeah,
I'm in school, darn it. I don't want more quizzes.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a teacher. Don't you also need to know the quiz, too?
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it'll be quick. It shouldn't be too long. So, first question. First of all, of course, if you guys do enjoy our things, of course, subscribe, leave comment, all that good fun stuff that, we're supposed to be good for. More than just watching and listening to, obviously. And so, yeah, with all that out of the way. First MonsterVerse question. What are the main monsters that Kong fights in Kong Skull Island called?
Well, they're called the Skull Crushers, I believe. That's what the John C. Reilly guy calls it. Is this
wrong.
A multiple choice or just a...
Well, the multiple choice is if you get it wrong or you don't remember, and they're just there to help when I read them.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And Skull Crushers is not the one. It's Skull Crawlers.
Bollocks! I knew that. I was testing you.
Well, I have all the answers here, so what's the test for?
Oh yeah.
I even have a mark next to which one is right. Okay,
darn it, you're too good at this.
Second question: what happens in the post-credit scene in Kong Skull Island?
Okay, so. I don't remember well, I know the Asian girl and the black guy. Those are their character names. In the scene, they are talking with Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston's character, and they're in like a room, like a secret kind of room looking thing, and they're kind of looking at some screens. Right, yeah. And they're looking at that kind of stuff, and they're seeing all these different kind of elements, like the other monsters or the other, I think they're called Mutos. I know Godzilla's not a Muto, but other monsters, basically. And from that, they're kind of seeing, that the world is kind of expanding. I guess it's kind of like the Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury to Iron Man moment in Iron Man 1. It's just kind of like expanding that world, I guess.
Yeah, you're correct. The answer here I just had was Conrad and Weaver talk with Brooks at Monarch headquarters, but you clearly know it better than the answer does. So, okay, so
I didn't know the names, but
which names?
Well, now I know Conrad and Mason Weaver. I forgot their names for a minute.
Yeah, and Brooks is the black guy.
Right. Who's the Asian girl? What's her name? Because she made it, right? She lived?
Yeah, she lived. I don't know her name. I don't even know if they ever said her name, or if they did, it was one time.
Oh, okay.
Brooks I know because he's in King of the Monsters, so
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm assuming you saw him during that Mothra scene.
Yes.
Okay, so question 3 in Godzilla, what is the name of the monsters that Godzilla fights?
Mutos, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. What is the weapon in the middle of King of the Monsters called, and what does it do?
Okay. So I believe it's called the Orca, and it was originally created by Millie Bobby Brown's mom's character, like their family, I guess, kind of the mom, and it's basically there to like talk to orcas or like whales, sea life, and they kind of weaponized it to kind of awaken and either scare or just kind of like really piss off the monsters even more than usual.
Well, you know a lot about the Orca, but the correct answer is the oxygen destroyer because it almost kills Godzilla.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, I
Because
remember
I
that.
said,
Okay.
what is the weapon, not the device.
Oh,
But
I
that's
see.
okay. I mean, you've only seen it once. You got to watch it again to get more memorized, I guess.
Yeah, and King of the Monsters, I think if you guys saw my review, it's good. I enjoyed it, but some of it, like, maybe I'm getting stupid in my old age. I don't know, but like, I watched Mission Impossible 1 last night, and that review will probably be out soon. But that was good too. But like King of the Monsters, I just felt like it was a little too convoluted for its own good. Like, there's a lot of exposition in that movie, and there's
Yeah.
some good action and what. There's if you're not paying attention or like you look at your phone for a minute, you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, I watched. I don't actually find the length that bad. I mean,
Mhm.
it's. But then again, I mean, I'm more, you know, I'm not really looking at the time, so to speak. Sometimes I will look at the time if I have something I'm gonna do at a specific time, and the movie is just to help pass the time until that time. And then I'll
Right.
pause it. But
Okay.
otherwise, I just kind of. But anyway, okay. Question 5, almost done. Don't worry. What happens in
No,
the
that was
post?
fun.
What happens in the post-credit scene in Godzilla King of the Monsters?
Tell the King of Monsters. Okay. Uh, everyone, don't get mad at me. I skipped that because I
Oh,
finished the movie at midnight and I was too tired.
okay. Because
So
that.
you're gonna have to tell me this one.
Okay. Alan Jonah buys King Ghidorah's head.
Oh yeah, okay, right, because that's in Godzilla versus Kong. That's where that
Yeah,
dude's like
that's why you have to see it
Serizawa's son.
to understand why it's all of a sudden there.
Yeah,
You
because I
know.
was wondering, I'm watching that movie and I'm like, what the fudge is this thing doing? There you go.
Yeah, it's the head that Godzilla ripped off in the middle just before the oxygen destroyer almost killed him.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it's Alan Jonah buys King Ghidorah's head, so the next time you watch it, you'll, make sure to watch that too, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then final
That's
question.
interesting.
What happens
Okay.
what happens in the final battle, and remember, final battle in Godzilla versus Kong?
Right. So, first of all, Godzilla Kong, they're not really mates. They're kind of buddy, or they're not buddies. I guess it's like Batman v Superman in a way, where if you guys pay attention to pop culture movies, a lot of these kind of good guy versus good guy battles, so to speak, they're all kind of started by like a misunderstanding. So in this case, from what I remember, Godzilla Kong, they're fighting each other, and then Mecha Godzilla shows up and wrecks everything. So they're not really friends, but they kind of, I want to say respect and understand each other for a little bit, and they kind of recognize each other. And they team up to fight Mecha Godzilla, and then in the end, I believe Godzilla goes back in the water, and Kong goes back to, it's not the Skull Island, it's the crazy place with the weird gravity.
Hollow Earth.
It's on the tip of my tongue. That's right. Yep, Hollow Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
All
pretty
right,
much
good.
that's
So
pretty much
what's my
what it
score?
is. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, in that movie, it's not a stalemate. Godzilla does beat Kong.
Right.
It's not just a simple, like two heroes fighting, and then eventually it's a tie because the director was very, very intent on making sure there was a winner. And
Okay.
you were saying in your review how like you just wanted one of them to die because that's what it kept saying, but it never said one will die, just one will fall.
Yeah, that's true.
And
classic marketing move.
The original King Kong versus Godzilla movie was, that was kind of sparking debate for decades because King Kong kind of comes out of the water at the end and Godzilla's nowhere to be seen, but it's no indication he's dead or that he lost.
Oh.
He's just not there.
I see.
And so it's caused a lot of people to say decide which one is won the fight. And so, the director in this one wanted there to be a winner and, wanted you to see it,
okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. When did the original Godzilla vs. Kong... Because that's like... I remember when this all kind of started. I don't know the history too much, but I know it was very, like, Japanese-inspired. Like, it was strictly Japanese stuff, and then they kind of moved it to the West.
Yeah.
When did that one come out? Like, the original?
62, I think.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
you thought this one was short. That one is, like, an extra 10 minutes short.
Oh, wow.
It's let's see, what was it? I think it was an hour and 47 minutes.
Okay, so like basically every animated movie.
I guess so. And really they only
cool.
they only fight at the end, and that's another thing is the director wanted there to be at least 2 fights cuz that would have been kind of dumb having, especially, a movie that's been so hyped up for over a year when it was, didn't come out just yet. It kind of,
right.
People I'm sure wouldn't have wanted to just see a one and done thing between them. So.
Oh yeah, well I wouldn't. I mean, I'm glad we got that boat fight too, because dude, like the CGI in these movies, I mean, it's crazy. Like whenever you think of CGI, most people think of like the MCU.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the MCU has had like garbage CGI for the most part.
Lately,
in recent phases.
Yeah,
but
like Godzilla 2014 looks better than MODOK.
Yeah, it's crazy. like literally, like all of these MonsterVerse movies from Skull Island to Godzilla vs. Kong, like all of these movies look friggin' like photo real half the time. I mean, when those buildings collapse and stuff, it's obviously effed up, but it looks like really good. Like you could see the particles in the glass. I mean, the lighting, like the neon. In the final battle, like it looks really clean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they want to make sure it doesn't. There's no possibility of it seeming like maybe Godzilla's back spike passes through a building before it creates a big hole in it.
Right.
You wanted to see it.
Yeah, that'd be problematic.
You wanted to see it impact the darn thing, not pass through it and then impact it.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of like.
Well, I am glad that they look good because if they didn't look good, then it would take a lot out of the experience,
Yeah, but were there any? I know you say Skull Island is still your favorite, but are there any parts of all three of them that you find did better than Skull Island? Not counting CGI.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I think that. Well, the plot for Skull Island is pretty... I mean, it's not bad, but it is basic. I mean, it's just kind of like a Cold War-esque movie with monsters, but I like that Godzilla King of the Monsters kind of took, like, elements of... It wasn't just, monster versus monster, and that's it. Like, it was actually... There was a lot of plot to that movie, which is nice, because when the monsters were fighting, and, Godzilla's fighting the Mutos and Ghidorah and whatever, it made me care more because a lot of the Skull Island stuff is good, but it's just like, we're here, and then it's like set piece and then set piece. But King of the Monsters really felt like a cohesive narrative type thing, and I'm kind of glad they followed up on with Godzilla vs. Kong. But I also love Godzilla vs. Kong, man. I mean, there's a few story things that they should have expanded upon, but I think that the overall
after watching your reviews a few times, quite a few times, I should say.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, after watching it a few times, you were mentioning about Sarazawa's son, and thinking about it, it would have been kind of interesting if they at least added an extra minute to the 153 minutes or 113 minutes. Add an extra minute
Mhm.
in there, just like maybe not showing a character in the present interacting with him, saying, "Why are you doing this? Your father would be ashamed of you," or something. More like maybe a
That would
flat,
be perfect.
maybe him just kind of having a moment to himself, and then having a flashback of maybe Mark telling him that his father died reviving Godzilla, and that's what sends him over the edge.
Hmm.
Something like that
Or just have
would
like a
have.
picture of his dad on like a workbench or something. Because I genuinely had no idea that was his son. I had to Google that. I'm like, who's this Asian dude? And they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
and
it's
they don't
Sarazawa's son. I'm like,
they obviously don't show his motivations really, but I mean, you can kind of
yeah, he's
understand them.
just
Like his father sacrificed himself to rescue Godzilla, and he blames Godzilla for his father's death, and so now he's trying to help the bad guys find the ultimate weapon, make the ultimate weapon to kill Godzilla.
hmm.
It just yeah, but if they just showed a 1 minute flashback of like Mark telling him, like your father died a hero, he saved Godzilla, who then saved us or something, and then you see him get into this fit of rage about it and be like, he should have left him to die, or something like that. Like just
Yeah.
to
No, that would
better understand his motives behind it.
yeah. Now, are there any for any of these movies, are there any like extended cuts that I don't know about? Or
No,
is what we see what we
no,
get?
yeah, that.
Okay. All right.
I mean, and there's not even any deleted scenes on the discs. So,
Yeah, I noticed that.
but I mean, it's kind of maybe like Last Jedi for how Last Jedi was for me, and even Rise of Skywalker, I guess, and Dial of Destiny.
Hmm.
Maybe you just watch these movies a few more times, they'll kind of grow on you a little bit better. I mean, the issues
Yeah.
you have may still be there, but they won't be so noticeable anymore because you'll sort of be used to it. Because like that's how I
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
with
I think
the first time I saw Last Jedi or Dial of Destiny. There was all these things that I was kind of like, Dial of Destiny had a whole bunch of chase scenes, and Last Jedi, all these weird things were happening, like Snoke dying in the second one instead of the third one, and
mhm.
no traditional lightsaber battle like you always see in the Skywalker saga movies anyway, and all that, and didn't even get to see one of those giant walkers get destroyed because they're just kind of they're all there from the beginning of the battle to the end of the battle. But I've
Right.
kind of gotten used to it now, and I mean the Falcon does destroy a bunch of TIE fighters, so I guess that sort of makes it more of
Yeah.
a battle. You
Chewie's a
don't
good shot, right?
you don't want just one side losing all their forces. The other side has to lose some, right? But
Right.
but yeah, those ones that, especially the two that you have pacing issues with. Not that you are disappointed, so to speak, just that it felt weird apparently to you. You might be more used to it more if you watch it. So
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I love these movies. I mean, I'm definitely gonna rewatch them again.
yeah. So speaking of that, I have to ask, and anybody listening, don't worry, this is not a pride, me trying to develop a sense of pride or anything. It is simply a question, okay? But
Yeah, yeah.
was I right about these movies when I first told you about them?
I think you were. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, now that I've seen, I mean, I've seen all the live action movies so far. I've seen the anime, which yes, it's canon. I
Yeah.
haven't seen Monarch, which also is canon. I might need to order that soon here. But yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to see these. They just were always in like the back recesses of my mind, and I've always, ever since I saw Skull Island, I've
Yeah.
always like had a knackering. Yeah, I've had
Just
a
knack.
knackering.
You've always had a knack for
Yeah,
wanting to see them.
yeah. And now that, I mean, thankfully that you sent them to me, thanks again for that. I definitely was able to watch them easier. And yeah, I mean they're pretty. I mean, look, they're not the MCU or the Skywalker saga to me,
No,
but
I
they're
didn't. I
good. I
never
mean, they're
said
up
they
there
were,
with.
and for that matter, I don't find them as the Skywalker. Well, to be honest, I'm not quite the same as you. I don't really have a favorite, like top 3 favorite universes or anything. It's just kind of whatever universe I decide to start watching again, I then sort of get absorbed into that universe for a while and
Oh yeah,
eventually get maybe a little obsessed with it for a little bit before finally deciding,
yeah, no, I'm the
okay, I
same
need to
way.
watch something else or something, But,
Yeah,
like I don't like Marvel or Star Wars over the other or anything. And like right now, obviously it's been MonsterVerse. And anybody who's listening to this also, the MonsterVerse is not to me what Ninjago is to franchise. I've just been obsessed with it because I've been waiting for this darn podcast since November of 2022. Okay,
yeah, it's been a while.
so it's not because I'm obsessed with the MonsterVerse. It's because I've been wanting to talk about it. Okay,
Hmm. That's fair. It's
anyone listening,
yeah, just disclaimer,
I haven't been.
asterisk.
I wasn't trying to be like a MonsterVerse mosquito buzzing around in your ear, like, when are you getting to the next one already? It's just been like,
Yeah.
can we get to it already? Because, like,
I know.
if we were still doing the every 3 months thing, that would have been one thing, but we kind of went into the, like, every 1 or 2 months, and, when Indiana Jones came out, it was like 2 weeks after our last one, and then, like, I was so used to just doing it more earlier and then having to wait 133 days to do this one finally. Kind of like,
Yeah, I know.
it's like
Life,
trying
am I
to
right?
trying to resist that one last, trying to go at least a few months without having a swig of, light beer, and then finally you
Yeah.
get to, after so many days.
And then you go crazy.
Yeah. But were there any cheer moments in any of them? Like, I know, you gotta admit that battle in Godzilla versus Kong is pretty epic when, Kong helps Godzilla.
It was, yeah.
Like,
When you mention it, there are some standout moments. I think that in Godzilla 1, I really like that movie is kind of more, I don't want to say grounded, but it's probably the most realistic. Like, there's not much comedy. It's like,
yeah,
it's like I
it's a
hate
good
bringing
break,
it up, but
isn't
it's
it?
like yeah. Well, it's like 9/11 times 50 because Godzilla's just wrecking stuff. It's crazy.
Well,
And it's
you look
not
at the
like,
Mutos, like that one Muto is just digging a big hole in the middle of town and not really caring what buildings or people may be in the way.
I know. It's
Godzilla's just
savage.
Godzilla doesn't just go barreling through buildings. He kind of does go around them, but when it comes to fighting, he just kind of is doing whatever he can, even if it means destroying a couple of skyscrapers just to kill the darn things.
Yeah, I'm sure no one was in that skyscraper, by the way, guys. It's fine.
No, and actually, nobody was in Boston in King of the Monsters because if you
That's
remember,
true.
Emma says like, the city's already been evacuated, so it'll be safe. And then Madison carries out the plan that she overhears her mom thinking of. And so, I mean, there were a lot of poor innocent buildings, yeah, but no people per se. Unless somebody was
Yeah,
just
that's a good
really,
detail.
really stubborn and lazy and like, nah, I'm going to die here. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
crush.
Yeah. This is the perfect place to die.
But,
Yeah. But
yeah.
I think the standout scene for me in Godzilla 1 is actually the end because I didn't think that Godzilla was quote unquote like a hero type thing.
Yeah. Well, he
I
usually
guess he's
isn't.
like
A lot of the time, he's
right.
more at the very least, he's more of an anti-hero. Because
Yeah.
like in the old movies, he like attacks human cities, and if there's another monster in there, and it's even worse, then he'll go for them. But he's never been
Right, for like dominance.
He's never been human friendly or anything, and so that's what I like about this universe. I mean, Godzilla -1 apparently is extremely good, but from what I know, there's no other monster in it, and it's just Godzilla attacking humans, and I suppose it's cool, but I like Godzilla when he's a hero. I mean, he's destroying the city to kill the monster, not kill the humans, even though there's
Right.
collateral, but, I mean.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you say, I mean, I'm sure that would work, but I like that fact too because it makes him more interesting. He's not just a big friggin' lizard. Like he has like a personality.
Yeah,
Just like if you guys haven't seen the
like all the
Skull
creatures
Island
have.
anime, yeah, exactly, yeah. And like I said, in the Kong anime, like I didn't expect this, but they really made Kong like a well-developed character, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But anyway, the end of Godzilla 1 I really like because I finished the movie at like 12:30, but I had like all this energy because after Godzilla quote he basically saves all these people. Everyone's like, oh no, he's a bad guy, we got to kill him, and Serizawa's like, no, he's here for us. And
Yeah.
I love the fact his theory gets proven because at the end he just like nonchalantly just kind of floops back in the water, and you see him flying or go down in the water like Jar Jar Binks, and then it just cuts to black. And I literally stood up in my chair and I went, hell yeah! It was so
Yeah.
cool. It was sick because I didn't expect it to end that way. I thought it was like, oh, he's gonna roar into the camera or whatnot, but they really just had him quietly go back to his domain, and I thought that was a cool detail.
Yeah. How about King of the Monsters?
Yeah, I
Were
like
you
the scene in
excited
that
when you
one
see
where
King Ghidorah almost kill Madison and then bang he gets blasted back?
yeah, that was cool. I like when we first see Ghidorah. The
Yeah.
guy's like, "What the fuck is that?" or whatever he says. I was like, "Oh, this is crazy," because he's like, like I said, I never saw a trailer for this, so like I really
Oh, I thought
didn't
you
expect
said
like
you
a
saw one
giant.
just before you saw the movie.
Okay, yeah, so I saw the trailer, but I don't think I saw a trailer with him in it. That's what I meant
Oh,
because
okay.
I never noticed that, or I forgot. But I'm sitting there and I see this three-headed dragon thing, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that was crazy!"
Yeah.
And like the lightning he shoots out of his mouth, and like what was it, Antarctica or something like that, like something with snow. I
Yeah.
thought that was cool.
Yeah. It's he's a pretty uh
Formidable.
yeah, he's pretty formidable. He's, a lot of the time he is portrayed as the bad guy. I think there's one
Right.
movie where Godzilla's the bad guy and Ghidorah is the hero.
Oh, wow.
But basically
That's
Godzilla
not
is
the MonsterVerse though.
no, that was I think that's a '90s film. It's called Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah or something.
Okay.
And
Cool.
yeah, Godzilla is what Ghidorah is in the MonsterVerse. He's just a murderous
Oh,
thing that wants to destroy all of humanity and any good monsters that get in his way. And Ghidorah is kind of like the last one he has to fight. And I don't remember if Ghidorah kills him or not, but basically, yeah, the roles are
that's cool.
swapped. But it's better when Godzilla's the good guy.
I think so.
Yeah.
And even
So
like Kong was always the good guy, basically.
yeah,
Because he's just like protecting his turf or whatnot. Or
yeah,
if anything, it's like dominance.
yeah. And speaking of that, you said you were having to Google Godzilla versus Kong. Was that looking up spoilers or just kind of article things to better understand?
Yeah, I mean that was me googling after the movie ended because I was sitting in my chair and I liked the movie, but I was just sitting there and I'm like, this was just, because Godzilla 1 it's very cut and dry. It's like you see and what you get.
Yeah,
Um, it's like the prequels. Like they're good, but it's very face value. And Godzilla King of the Monsters is like the sequels because you need to think about it and you need to like actually apply reason and like pay attention more. So at the end of that, I liked it and I understood a majority of it, but there was just a few things I don't even really remember. But yeah, it was really
well,
just
you
kind
said you
of
had to
uh,
Google why Godzilla was attacking in the first place.
yeah. In fact, what's funny about that is because he attacks that base or whatever quite early on in the film, and I was getting confused. I paused the movie and I googled why is Godzilla evil now because I'm thinking and I'm like
Was that a
King of the
spoiler
Monsters.
you were
That's
looking
like
for, or just kind of a better
well,
understanding?
I'm sitting there and it's understand because I'm like
Yeah,
Godzilla 1. he's kind of neutral. He's kind of good. And then all of a sudden he's just killing people, and I'm like, all right, this is weird. But obviously they explain that in the movie.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
guess I was
it's
just
kind of
hesitant.
good you're confused because you're supposed to be with the characters. Like, why is this happening? Because you don't want to know already what's going on, and then you look at the characters and like, how stupid can you be? The answer is right there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean in that aspect, it was cool that they kind of did that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I Googled it because I was getting kind of pissed off, but I'm also, I understand what they did for sure.
Yeah. And also, it was Adam Wingard's the director. It was his excuse to finally give us kind of the bad Godzilla that I was mentioning earlier, and that was his
Hmm.
excuse to make Godzilla bad, just for even just a little bit, kind of
Right.
to show what Godzilla is really like is in most of the past movies, you know. He just attacks people. But, of course, it's not just any people. It's Apex facility that he's attacking. Whereas in the previous films,
Right.
it's just kind of, he goes to a random city and just destroys chunks of it, just to
Yeah.
make people scream and all that. And
Yeah. He gets a sick kicks in.
But, yeah, and, in King of the
I am glad though. Like,
Yeah, in
go
King,
ahead.
just to quickly say this, you were saying that talking about that one scene in the trailer in King of the Monsters that you remember of Madison smiling in the rain, and
Yeah.
I actually do smile at that scene when I watch it because like she's almost gonna die here, and then bang, Ghidorah goes flying back, and then you see you see her turn around and see Godzilla, he's back coming towards, and you kind of just feel the same as she does, like, oh yeah, kind of thing.
Right. Well, I like that too because it's like her being reassured that Godzilla's there for her,
Yeah,
or at
and
least for
and
the
the
city,
Earth,
which
the Earth, because Godzilla is kind of the Earth protector, and
right.
I mean Kong
What
is
did you
just
think?
Skull's Island protector.
Yeah, basically. What did you think about the reveal in Godzilla versus Kong that when we see Kong running around in Skull Island and then he throws a tree or whatever and it hits like a dome barrier? I also had to Google like because I don't know if they specifically say like how. I know they probably drugged Kong and like moved him, but that scene in the beginning where we first see Gia and the character, um, I don't know, I don't remember, but I think like that dome where he throws it and it hits the dome, the fake sky, that's still on Skull. Like they're on Skull Island, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
it's all
because I
rainy
thought
and
they.
stormy because of Ghidorah, because wherever he goes, there's
Okay.
always a big storm, and obviously he affected the weather in some way around Skull Island. And I don't know if you watched the mid credits with all the newspaper articles and stuff briefly popping up, but there's things saying like monsters are being drawn to Skull Island and stuff.
Okay,
And
yeah, that makes more sense because I was a little confused on that.
yeah, and I was reading, like, there are comic books or graphic novels if you want to be more, but there are things about that explain more stuff about what's going on and why things are the way they are in the movies when you start watching them. And
Huh.
I guess there's this one monster called Kama Kamagos or something.
Sounds like a pill.
Yeah. But basically Kong fights it, and it does something to cause the weather to get worse or something, and that's how that's what the end result that we see at the beginning is, basically. So
That's cool. I didn't know they had and these are like obviously they're canon. They take place in the universe. I didn't
yeah,
know that they made those. That's cool.
yeah, and were you kind of confused as to Godzilla's appearance in King of the Monsters compared to 2014?
Yeah, I mean, I just assumed that it was because he's getting more powerful. But I mean, Is that
Well,
like
it
in the
is
lore?
that
Is that
it is
like
that, but
huh?
there's a comic called Aftershock or something, and
Okay.
there's this monster called Muto Prime, and it's like it's the birth mother of all Mutos basically, and it basically is what the spores came from in the beginning. It can like implant spores into creatures and cause them to die, and then the spores, you see what happens to the spores in Godzilla.
Mm.
But yeah, basically Godzilla is fighting this Muto Prime, and the Muto Prime has this power called like the Sonic Clap. Well, not Sonic Clap, Sonic Scream or something, and it
Okay.
basically shatters his back
Oh.
plates, and his
Oh.
back plates are kind of like miniature volcanoes. So when he goes back, they regenerate a little bit more, and they regenerate into what you see in King of the Monsters.
That's cool.
I only know about this because I do look at the Wiki page. I don't actually have these things, but
Okay, I see.
yeah, the Wiki page explains pretty much how it works, and Godzilla's plates are different because Michael Dougherty, the director, wanted to give his own impression of Godzilla while still maintaining the basic what we saw, but giving him slight changes to make him his version, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's cool because they're it's like they're able to slightly change things while still remaining true to the lore, which is the only good way to do it.
yeah. And you obviously saw the Godzilla X Kong, which for everybody listening, X stands for collaboration. So just keep that in mind. It's not because they're going to kill Elon Musk or going to, one of them's change
I mean,
gender
who
or
knows? That
whatever
might
the
happen.
heck.
Yeah.
It's a collaboration between the two. That's what X
So they are
means.
buddies in this new one.
Well, I guess so. I mean, all the articles I read say they have an uneasy truce or whatever, but they're not going
Okay.
to be at each other's throats like in the previous one, because that one was clearly, that's what the movie was all about, just seeing the two
Right.
go at it, and then finally, team up against Mechagodzilla, and you know, and so, but yeah, and Godzilla's pink looking in the new one coming, but
I know. Yeah, 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 yeah.
that's Wingard's sort of stamp on, that's his version that he's going with. And Godzilla
For the
actually
director.
has been pink before in the Godzilla game that I play. There's a version, there's two Godzillas in the game. There's one called Godzilla 90s and then another called Godzilla 2000, and the 2000 one has purple on his back, and he he doesn't shoot pink or purple beams, but like he shoots kind of like an orange looking beam. But like the pink Godzilla is nothing new. It really isn't. It's just in this one it's clearly the more modernized version of that, I guess. But
Okay. Well, that's cool because, like I said, I'm not that familiar with the whole. Besides the MonsterVerse, I don't really know a whole lot besides monsters are cool.
yeah,
So
well,
it's really cool that there's a lot of like
well,
either
if you
old
watch the old
Japanese, like there's
movies,
a lot of lore.
you'll probably get a little bored because I don't even remember a whole lot of stories. Like I saw a number of them in the past back when I first got this game, because that's what got me into Godzilla in the first place. And then seeing
Okay.
all these movies like Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Godzilla versus Mothra, a whole bunch of others, and I don't even remember any of the human stuff really, because I'm just
Yeah.
there for the monsters, like everybody is in these darn movies.
Yeah.
But
But the nice thing about the MonsterVerse is that, like, I cared about the human stuff. I know a lot of people hate King of the Monsters because of the human stuff, but I
yeah,
think that's good.
well, they hated Godzilla as well because of that. But I mean, you know, like as long as they're good characters, like I don't know, like if you saw my comment here on Discord, but What I didn't say about what I know about the Monarch show, is that apparently the three young lead characters, I read on the internet that they're actually pretty horrible. Like Kurt Russell is the only good character in the whole show.
Oh, like you mean like horribly written, or like
well,
evil?
I don't know. Horribly written, like maybe I don't know how exactly. But just that they're not, like whenever you see Kurt Russell, that's when you kind of get a breather kind of thing.
Okay.
Or something. But, I mean, I'll have to see it myself, and I will have to stomach episode 5, but I'm willing to give it an exception just to see what, apparently it's supposed to lead into Godzilla X Kong, or at least give hints about it, like what we can sort of expect to see or something.
Now, are we going to get a season 2 of that? Did they say?
Well, it's what a lot of people are hoping for, but
okay.
I don't know if
What about the
Skull Island?
What about the anime?
Well, like you said in your review, so, whenever, I guess, they get around to actually announcing it, if they decide to, I guess that's when we'll know. But they're kind of...
Well, they better. I mean, without spoiling it for you guys, like it's good.
Well, we can spoil it towards the end.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say that the end is like a stupid, crazy cliffhanger, and I mean, I like immediately after that show finished, I Googled, "Is there a season 2?"
Yeah,
and
the only spoiler I'll give
is
is simply a line. There's a line at the end of the episode saying, "You'll pay for what you did to Kong," or and that's the only. Well, actually, I think that girl in that one episode says his name, but otherwise, that's the only time you hear anybody say his name. Otherwise, it's just like the ape, the giant ape will do it, or whatever.
Yeah, the monkey.
Speaking of, what'd you think of that scene when Kong crushed that heave in his hand?
In the anime?
No, in Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, just as the temple's collapsing, he grabs that heave and crushes it, because the crazy woman thinks, shooting him is going to get him out of the way.
Yeah. That was awesome, because I didn't expect her to die, like, that easily, or that quick, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, and Kong's reaction, he's just like...
she's like...
He sees her, and he's just like, oh, it's you. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminded me of like that shot where like he looks in and you see his eye up close to the camera. It reminded me of like a ride at Universal.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't die on the ride, but
no. But you were talking, I think several podcasts ago. I don't even remember which one now. Must have been the fifth one, or anyway. But or no, that was the fourth one. Yeah. And you were saying how, like, we were talking about how they should make a Skull Island ride sort of thing. They should make a Monsterverse ride, and then that's one of the things you go into, just this heave, and then you get to sort of experience mentally what it's like to get crushed by Kong in a heave. And then when you leave,
that'd be dope. I'd ride that.
When you leave, your eyes are just wide open, like you're still processing dying without dying.
Yeah, I'm sure kids would love that, I'm sure.
They'd just be like, "Mommy, we got crushed by Kong and lived. Can we do it again?"
Yeah. I mean, hell, when I rode the Velocicoaster, I thought I was going to die, so, know.
And so, what'd you think of Mecha Godzilla, just how he looked and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on it, and maybe he looks more cooler in like other iterations, but I thought he looked pretty badass. I mean, it was a really cool design. I mean, I didn't expect that to be in the movie either. I was like, oh shit, there's Mechagodzilla, what do you know?
Yeah.
And that was
Well,
definitely a cool
in the older
surprise.
ones, it really looks like just this kind of like like Iron Man's Mark II armor.
Yes.
When it's not painted, it's just this silver thing that War Machine steals in Iron Man 2. It's basically like that, but Godzilla shaped.
Okay.
And so it's basically, yeah, it looks like a guy, like imagine Godzilla in an Iron Man suit that isn't painted, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what Mega Godzilla sort of looks like in the past. And in my gameplay, you'll actually see one of the iterations, because I made sure to have at least only four of them actually are in the game that appear in the MonsterVerse. Like there is
Okay.
there is Mothra, but you can't play as her. She's kind of just
Oh.
a power up type thing. But you do have Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and there's two Mecha Godzillas, and one of them I am fighting in one of the matches, and so you'll see what one of them looks like anyway when you watch it. He's kind of the closest thing to the one we get in the MonsterVerse. You know, he's got a tail that he can whack with and stuff. The other one, it
That's
just
cool.
has like this curved horn as a tail on its butt, and it just kind of, when he bends down, it's just this thing goes up into the air, like it doesn't bend or anything. It's just
That is certainly a design choice, I'll tell you that much.
yeah. Well, I mean, in the back then, of course, you know, Mecha Godzilla was more about just destroying, you know, having about every weapon you could think of to destroy Godzilla, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, I
this
think
one
it's funny
is.
because when you
Sorry, you
go
were
ahead.
saying? Oh,
Well, yeah, I was saying that like it's funny because back in the day when you had, you know, like the older stuff that we think is so cheesy and corny now, like that was the sickest stuff back in the day, man. Like people must have gone crazy when they see that guy in the suit freaking out. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
now we have this CGI amazing stuff, but back then it was just dudes in rubber suits beating the crap out of each other, and it
yeah.
was like
It
you know, like
worked,
whoa,
but
you know, it was yeah,
you can't compare it to now. You can
no,
tell it's not quite the same, and you know, I mean, maybe if you watch it, it still might have the same. You might still have a feeling about it because you know, like if you're paying more attention to the movie than you know the time it was made.
right,
But yeah, like there's one movie where Godzilla 2000, like that's the version they have in this particular one. He jumps into the
hmm
air, and you can clearly see he clearly doesn't look quite right. He basically looks like an action figure that doesn't have bendable arms or anything. And when you make them jump, like their arms and legs are still just in the position they're in when you get them.
yeah.
And he basically just looks like that in the air, and he jumps, and you see this giant action figure thing towards the sky coming down closer to the camera.
I know there's like a really viral clip online of like I think it's Godzilla doing like a drop kick, and he like vertically slides in the air, and you see his tail dragging on the ground. It looks like Dookie.
Yeah, it might have actually
That was
that might be
that's
the
all they had,
original
you know.
King Kong versus Godzilla one.
Possibly, but it looks really funny.
Yeah, but yeah, would you say the battles are better than the Jurassic battles?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, I love the Jurassic. What is it? The Jurassic Saga or something? I don't know what it's called, but
Yeah,
they're good. I mean, they're obviously good. I mean, the first three Jurassic Park movies aren't as insane. I mean, Jurassic Park 3 had some good stuff, but really Jurassic World 1, 2, and 3, that's where it went down, and those are good. But I mean, you know, you can have a T-Rex fighting a bunch of raptors all you want, and that is cool.
yeah.
But having Godzilla, you know, a giant lizard dude fighting a giant monkey man, I mean, it's obviously cooler because of the
monkey Mudos or three-headed dragon or monkey versus skull crawlers or hell.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so many.
Not hell.
There's so many cool things in there, and I think that just in Godzilla versus Kong, having like the neon city and all that. I mean, it looked like Cyberpunk 2077 with a big monster fighting it. I mean, that was some cool stuff.
Yeah. So, but. Yeah, so you said you saw the trailer for GXK when you went.
I did. Yes. Yeah, I finally saw it. Yeah, and I was so pissed off because I'm sitting there and I'm like, this looks cool, and then I see something and I'm like, oh, like because at that point when I was seeing Wonka in theaters, I didn't review that yet. Oops.
Yeah,
but it's
that's fine.
Yeah, it was good, but in that trailer, I'm like, oh man, I still had to watch Godzilla vs. Kong at that point, but what are you gonna do?
You couldn't escape having to see it before you saw the rest, right? Even when I posted it in front of you.
Exactly. I had to sit there and enjoy it.
Should have stood up and told the movie theater what you told me. You don't think I need to wait to watch the other ones first?
Yeah, I'm suing.
But yeah, what'd you think of the trailer?
Now, I think it was cool.
Now seeing the full thing and not just Godzilla and Kong running next to each other.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think that it has a good premise. It definitely, I can tell that the MonsterVerse over the years has gotten, this is not a negative, but it's just something I've noticed. The MonsterVerse has gotten more and more, I don't want to say silly, but more like comic booky. Because, you look at Skull Island and especially Godzilla 1, they're pretty grounded movies. I mean, obviously there's a giant friggin' monster, but they're pretty grounded. And to see this one, like, they got power gloves and they got all these crazy things. It's cool.
Yeah.
But the CGI for the little monkey, it's a little ropey. And I know the movie's not, like, out yet, but that CGI was a little wonky. Not Wonka, but wonky.
I don't know if you know this, but the trailer was actually going to come out in August, but it was all because of that stuck-up actor strike that apparently they weren't able to post it or something. So that's probably why it looked wonky, because it was probably going to be the trailer they were going to show us then.
Okay, I see. Yeah, and people also got to keep in mind when you're seeing a trailer and there's unfinished VFX or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the movie's literally not done. I mean, quite frankly, when you see a trailer for a movie, especially the first trailer for any movie, 9 times out of 10, the stuff you're seeing in that first trailer is all they're done with.
Yeah. I mean, look at Sonic the Hedgehog. The first trailer didn't look anything like the movie in the end.
No. But at that point, the internet got... The studio got so bullied, they had to do it.
Yeah. Well, I will say I haven't seen much of the old design, but I'm glad they did do this design. But I don't know, I have mixed feelings about the whole bullying thing that got it going. I mean, who's to say it was even them that were doing it, or if it was just the studio testing the audience,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny you mention that. I mean, there's a conspiracy online where they're like, they deliberately made him look like an alien from hell. They did it deliberately to gain attention and marketing, which I don't think that's true. I think they just really made a weird decision. I mean, he looked ugly as fudge. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he looked like stupid. But I think, yeah, bullying the studio. It's one thing to raise complaint, but like there were death threats and shit. I mean, it wasn't a good situation.
No.
To be at Paramount. I'm glad they fixed it.
Yeah.
And they can kind of poke fun at it, yeah. But I mean, when that thing got announced, oh boy.
Yeah. But so yeah,
it was certainly a fun day.
So like what we saw in this trailer, I'm sure it's gonna be better, and from what we did see in the trailer of the new monster villains, the Scar King, and that Scar with a K, not a C. What'd you think?
That'd be cool.
What'd you think of him from what we did see of him? What'd you think?
I think he looks pretty formidable. I mean, the MonsterVerse always has good villains. I mean, he looks pretty friggin' terrible. I mean, if I saw that thing, I'd probably, die like on the spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, he's supposed to be. Well, there's an article. Well, a few articles, of course, because it has to kind of get all over the internet, not just one thing. But the director was saying how the Scar King is gonna be he's meant to be represent kind of like the worst of humanity sort of thing, while Kong represents the best of humanity or something.
I see. Okay.
So, that's kind of the idea, but I just, I wake up almost. Well, I shouldn't say almost, but there are days that I wake up thinking about the movie, because it's getting closer by the minute, It's March 29th now. It used to be 15th, then it was April 12th, now it's March 29th. And
that's weird. The dates have shifted quite a lot for that movie, I gotta tell you.
Well, the April thing was apparently because of the strikes or something.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But now it's because this one thing called I forget what it's called. It had a number in the title. But anyway, yeah, they pulled it. Apparently Warner Brothers, I think it was them, pulled it from their, like, they kind of booked it, or what do you call it? Shelved it.
Oh, okay.
And so as a result, they were able to move GXK to where this other movie used to be. So I'm not, I'm not complaining, but I mean, I'm still gonna wait a few days before I see it after it's come out. Because for one thing, I'm not gonna spoil myself if I can help it, but I will at least look towards the end to see if I see the few words saying the post-credit scene, because I want to know, because if it's worth even staying for the credits. I mean, I know, like, seeing all the names of people that worked hard on the movie is, but I'm just not a credits person. I fast forward through the credits when there's a scene at the end. Or if
I do too.
Or at the theater, of course, I just wait, like, come on, I'm just waiting for that those last few things showing, like, the music, songs, and stuff, because once those come up, it's almost over,
Yeah, right, we're trained. Like, yesterday when I was watching Mission Impossible, there's no end credit scene for that, so I finished it, and I was like, oh, that's good, and then I just turned it off.
I don't think there's any post-credit scene for any of them.
Okay,
They're kind of just like Godzilla 1 is, it's the end credits and that's it,
Yeah.
But,
well, it's funny, people are trained because of Marvel to just, like, expect that.
Yeah. But,
and when it doesn't happen, they get all...
I don't fully expect it. Like, that's just my thing now. I look just for that, I just look for that little bit of info about it before I go see it, just to make sure, because,
Right.
Surely there'll be lots of spoilers and synopsis stuff all over the internet by the time it's, a few days after it's out, to say about the post-credit scene. In fact, if I search it on Google, it'll probably see how, what the post-credit scene means or whatever, and then I'll know that there is one.
Yeah. Well, I remember when The Rise of Skywalker came out, I was just so floored by it. I think that's one of the first movies I remember, like, watching through the entire credits. Like, obviously I do that a lot, but I remember my mom and dad were like, all right, let's go home. And I was still sitting in my chair, because I was just like, it almost felt like I had to. It's weird, like, I felt compelled, because I'm like, this is the end of the Skywalker saga. I have to freaking sit here, you know? It was weird.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I do now, but... Like I said, I check now first before I see the movie, just to make sure, like, but yeah, I mean, I'll probably end up seeing it kind of like I did with Dial of Destiny. I'll go online, book a seat, like, a few days before I go see it, because I know booking a thing long in advance is the best thing to do, not on the day when everything is already taken up and you're like, darn it. But
Yeah, I'd say so.
yeah, but that's what I'll probably be doing because I'm quite pumped to see this one. I don't care about Pink Godzilla or the Beast glove on Kong or how they're running in the end. Like
Yeah.
Like, and again, it's like I said to you. I think it was on your Godzilla review. It's just a trailer where all the scenes are completely out of order for the
Right.
for a reason.
Yeah, there's like no context.
Yeah. But I do. What's your favorite part of the trailer, though? Mine is the part where Bernie says Kong can't do this alone, and then you hear Andrews say he won't be alone, and then you see Godzilla. That's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, that's a cool moment. I like the end where they're. I know some people don't, but I genuinely like the end where they're running. Like, it looks wonky because he's got a Thanos-looking glove on, but obviously, like I said, there's like no context to it. But I think that it's a cool shot, because we've come from they're killing each other to they're working together, which is cool character moments.
Yeah. And there's rumors that some other monsters might be showing up to help, but I don't know.
Ooh.
Like there's
what monsters would those be?
Well, there's rumors that possibly Mothra might show up, because the thing about Mothra is that when she turns into an adult form, she lays an egg, and then when she dies, basically all her memories and stuff go into the egg, so that she basically reincarnates. She's kind of like a phoenix type thing.
Okay.
But the insect version of that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, because in the mid-credits, like I was saying, like you should watch it, because there is insight in there. They show, like, there's a second egg found, on one of the newspaper things that briefly shows, like, they are brief. You have to really be paying attention to the background and not the credits to see them.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a thing popping up about.
It's like they're dropping hints.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's hints or it's just simply epilogue stuff. Like they also say like Godzilla keeping other Titans in check or something, or Rodan starts nesting in Mount Fiji or something. Like. Like a whole, there's actually lots of epilogue information in that mid credits. They're brief.
I'll have to rewatch that.
Yeah, they're brief, but they're quite interesting. Like there's another thing talking about how I think it's Scylla. It's kind of like that spider with the crab legs looking thing.
Oh yeah,
Scylla. Apparently. Caused like some Arctic warming or something, and yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff about all those Titans, and again, there's stuff about the Skull Island, like Titans being drawn to Skull Island, and they even show a cave painting of Kong and Godzilla.
Oh,
like Kong is kind of leaping
so basically
at Godzilla. And that's
it sounds like they're always setting up new stories to tell, which is as long as they're good, I'm here for it,
Yeah. So, and you're saying how they're not doing the best job connecting them, but you gotta admit, like Phase 1 of the MCU wasn't doing the best job either, but it was also the beginning.
Oh, no.
And it's not like what we got in especially Phase 3 where guys were going in and out of each other's movies, all building up to Infinity War.
Yeah.
It's
although upon having seen everything so far besides the Monarch show, I'll admit that it does feel more, because like especially after Godzilla vs. Kong, it's a lot more cohesive in terms of. Because, after I saw Kong Skull Island, I'm like, they're not referencing it in Godzilla, even though it comes. I know they made Godzilla first, but I'm like, it's kind of weird. And then in Godzilla, they don't reference
do
anything.
Have Monarch.
And then by the end,
Monarch is like the shield of this universe.
Right. But by the end of Godzilla versus Kong, I was like, all right, this feels more connected and fleshed out, which is, good.
Yeah. Because, yeah, Godzilla came out first, but, they actually kind of sort of share a small thing in both movies where, in Skull Island, John Goodman's character, Randa, is talking about, this 1954 nuclear test that they were trying to kill something, and that's all he says, something. But, if you see Godzilla before, you know what he's talking about, but if you see it after, then it's like, so that's what Randa was talking about,
Yeah, that's cool. I like that detail.
Are you glad I at least suggested, like, I wasn't telling you to do it, but are you glad I suggested watching it in that order?
Charges check. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's not like
it's
not like the MCU where Captain America has like 3 scenes in the present, beginning, middle, and then end credits. And then, it's like Captain Marvel, her post-credit scene is in the present as well, where everything else is in the past. It's not like that. Like, it all takes place in the past, including the post-credit scene.
Right. And that's more helpful. It's less confusing for me and general audiences.
Yeah. So, and again, it's, if you didn't see Godzilla yet, you hear his roar for the first time, and then it kind of like, whoa, I gotta go see this now, kind of thing,
So it kind of works both ways, I guess.
Yeah. I know that the cave paintings that they show in Skull Island are of, Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, which appear in King of the Monsters, but, like, you could just say that they're giving hints as to what's to come in the future kind of thing, whereas Godzilla, like, he's next. And, again, you hear his roar, so you don't hear any of the others roar.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's like telling the audience, hey, this is what you can expect. It's a cool detail for sure.
Yeah. So, but...
Now, the one thing I did want to mention real quick is... Gia, the deaf girl. Now, I think you know this, and I think I'm right in saying this. Maybe you can correct me, but I remember Gia's mom, like, adopted mom or whatever, saying that she's the last of the tribe.
Yeah,
is the tribe that she's referencing?
Iwis. That's what they're called. Iwis.
Yeah.
IWI. Like kiwi without the K.
Okay.
For you and everybody listening, just keep that in your memory now.
Yeah. So the Iwis like to eat kiwis, but I guess so. That the Iwi tribe is the tribe that we see in the Kong Skull Island movie, right?
I'm assuming so. Yeah. She obviously doesn't have all these markings on her, and I think some of them are kind of scarred themselves, sort of like Killmonger did. But
okay.
I don't
know. I thought that was a cool detail.
But yeah,
because the moment that movie
it is
starts,
Skull Island, so what can you expect? Just like
right,
like Dr. Andrews brings in this little girl that Kong doesn't know, and suddenly they become bonded.
Yeah,
that could work.
In the Skull Island anime. The Skull Island anime has that kind of like relationship with Kong and the other girl, but
yeah.
I think it's cool that in this one, I believe she says that Gia and Kong have been like communicating and like buddies for about a decade. So I think it's cool that, like, I like that scene where they're on the ship or the yacht or the boat or whatever, and you see, Gia in the storm kind of like talking to Kong, and Kong's sign language is back, and it's cool because it not only shows the development, but it shows that Kong, he's not just like a dumb animal. Like, he understands and he can learn things, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's, and I especially like, I like at the end, too, when Gia tells him to help Godzilla, and, Kong has this understanding, like, he trusts her, so when she says that, this big, massive robot that looks like Godzilla is the real enemy, Godzilla's not. Like, she clearly understands why he's been on the rampage, so to speak, and this thing is the answer, and, you know, now she's saying, you know, like, enough of the fighting with each other. Help him beat this darn piece of tin up.
For God's sake, help me!
Yeah. But, yeah, what did you think of that part where he jumps on the thing just as it's about to blow down in Godzilla's throat?
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic last-minute save move. I think it's really well done there, because it's storytelling, but it's also like a cool moment as well. You know, I think that's a cool little thing, because like when that happens, it was like, I think Rey and Ben Solo teaming up against Palpatine in Episode 9 is obviously cooler in my opinion, but it's kind of like that, where it's like the enemies put aside their differences and they kind of team up. I think it's a cool moment for sure.
Yeah. But
or I guess Batman versus Superman does it too, but you know.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, like it's kind of just, you know, the Mecha Godzilla is about to kill Godzilla the same way he killed the Muto. If you noticed the way he was prying his mouth open, and was just about to do the same thing. So, but
it's like he's learning.
The Muto,
it's cool.
The Muto didn't have Kong backing her up that time, and this time it's Godzilla
no,
that's in that predicament. But yeah,
it's good stuff. I mean, I'm glad I saw it. And hey, I'm excited for Monarch. I'm excited for Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, as long as they keep making quality movies. It's cool. I mean, really, at the end of it, we have another cinematic universe to enjoy, which is pretty sick.
Yeah. You know, and they're...
As much as I want Pirates of the Caribbean to continue and all these other ones, I mean, you know, Star Wars is continuing, but the Skywalker saga is done, and the MCU is continuing, obviously, and we have the new DCU. But it's cool that we have the
MCU is technically continuing, but, you know, like, it's not like it used to be, like you were saying, you know. Like, there's really no connectivity anymore in it. I mean, yeah, characters show up in each other's movies and stuff, but it's not like what we had, you know.
No, and it also doesn't help that the guy that played Kang is in jail, so that's not very good.
Apparently they're getting rid of Kang now.
Oh, like...
Just because
so like Dr. Doom's gonna show up?
I guess so, but, you know, like, that in itself kind of just... I don't know, it's a bigger mess than... You know, everybody calls Last Jedi a big mess or whatever, but they have no idea what the MCU is in right now. Like, you know, they're getting rid of characters because actors are dead, or, you know, they're in jail or whatever. Like, they don't have the stomach or mind to recast, unless it's, you know, General Ross.
Yeah, right. But I can't stand that. I freaking hate that.
Like, they used to do that, you know, they recast War Machine, they recast Hulk or Bruce Banner, you know, like...
Yeah.
Who else did they recast, if anyone? Thanos.
What's it? Yeah, and then Cassie Lang, or whatever.
Oh, yeah, Cassie Lang. Well, I didn't see Quantumania, so... I only know the one from Endgame and before, so... I mean, the one in Endgame is understandable, but the one from Quantumania just seems like they wanted somebody they think is better instead of giving this other girl a chance.
I'll tell you right now that the girl in Quantumania is probably cuter, but she's like a horrible actress. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm the one thinking...
I only know her from Pikachu.
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. But she's not good. I mean, she's just, like, the writing's bad for her, but
she
her
basically
acting...
is not Cassie.
No, I mean, I give the prequels from Star Wars a lot of flack for having wooden acting, especially from Padme and Anakin in certain scenes. And, I mean, this chick from Quantumania is like Padme times 50. It's like, take like the worst scene from the prequels where Padme's like barely emoting, and that's the chick from Quantumania. It's baffling that they recasted her.
Well,
Like the scene in Endgame where she's crying that she's seeing her dad again is like 100 times better than anything in that movie. It's insane.
yeah. Well,
And I don't hate Quantumania. Like, I like it. It's watchable. I recommend you seeing it, but it's just that part of it is just no bueno.
Well, let's see. CGI.
And then they have Echo.
CGI is better in the MonsterVerse than probably Quantumania.
Yeah, Quantumania has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen.
And probably the story is a little better in MonsterVerse movies. I mean, granted, they're kind of their own thing, but you know, they make sense. In Quantumania, I don't know, like, again, I haven't seen it, so I don't quite know how the story goes, but I'm sure it's not as good as perhaps the other two Ant-Man movies were.
I mean, I think Ant-Man 1 is still superior. Ant-Man and the Wasp is alright. I will say that Quantumania is more memorable than Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second one. But, yeah, in terms of quality, Quantumania, I don't know what happened. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I watch it and I enjoy watching it. Like, I genuinely believe that the MCU movies, there's not a horrible movie. Like, even Thor: Love and Thunder is the worst Thor movie, but I'm not like, oh, I hate this. Like, I'll still watch it.
Yeah.
You know, Miss Marvel and She-Hulk are, I think, the worst things the MCU have ever done. Like, I'm doing my MCU rewatch, guys. I swear to God, I'm still doing it. But, like,
the MonsterVerse viewing is over, folks. He can get back to it now.
Yeah, well, after Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and then the next movie comes out and it's like, after Godzilla X Kong, I swear, and then
yeah,
like,
well, after the Mission Impossible movies, I will be into Civil War, Captain America 3, so we're getting the ball rolling here pretty soon.
And well, I don't know if you saw any, you really looked through anything, but what's the kind of average length of a Mission Impossible film? At least 2 hours?
Yeah, so the first one was 110. The one I might watch tonight is 2 hours.
Yeah.
120. And the longest is Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is the latest, which is 163 minutes.
Yeah.
Which I'd rather watch a longer movie than a shorter movie. That's just me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it depends on the film, but
speaking of that, the reason Godzilla vs. Kong isn't 2 hours is because I guess the director doesn't like making 2-hour movies unless he has a darn good reason, and he, I guess, said that if he did make it 2 hours, it wouldn't mean extended fights or anything. It would be more people talking stuff, which
we friggin' needed.
Well, yeah, to an extent. I mean, you don't want it to go overboard, but yeah, there were certainly things like I actually would have liked to see Mark kind of be like this be sort of like the next thing from King of the Monsters, where it was Madison and her mom, and this one it would have been Madison and her dad for a change, and they do stay together. You know, she doesn't throw a fit at him, and be like, I'm doing this alone,
even though he's barely in it.
Yeah, it would have been cool, but I mean, it still works. I mean, like we just kind of
it does.
Some things we just have to use our imaginations for, I guess. Like,
right. How
like
long is New Empire?
Well, they haven't.
Do we know?
They haven't officially said anything, but I think it said like it was 155 minutes. So,
jeez, okay, that's definitely longer than the last one.
Yeah, and so, but again,
that's good.
Don't forget, at least maybe 6 to 10 of those minutes are probably credits.
Right? Yeah, true.
But it'll still be. I'm sure it'll still be good. I at least hope they have a cool opening like they did in GVK, because I don't know. I like the opening and the music that plays during it. Just looks cool. Like they're
Oh yeah,
sort
I
of
like
showing
that
all the everything that's come before, leading up to this. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. Now, what do you think? This is probably the last thing for this one, but
Yeah.
what do you think about Alan? Is it Alan Jonah?
Yeah, Alan Jonah. He was.
What happened to that guy? Because
nobody knows, honestly. I guess there's novelizations of these things too, and this one apparently says that Apex bought the Ghidorah head from some guy, and it's assumed to be Jonah. And
okay, so he's like still kicking. He's not like dead or anything.
supposedly, yeah. But I hope they do bring him
I wonder
back,
if he'll show up.
because I wanted.
Well, yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't. It's hard for me to believe this is all connected, and it is obviously, and I believe it. But
Yeah.
it's more believable when I just find it weird that like they have the two guys from Aaron Taylor Johnson and Olsen from Godzilla, and I know like in the lore it's explained that they effed out of there. They're done. They're like no more. But
They are
it's also weird
referenced
that, like,
though. They are referenced in King of the Monsters. There's a during that just before that battle, that part where all the army forces are about to start attacking Ghidorah. You hear this radio voice say, "This is the USS Brody." So
right, okay.
there is a sort of slight callback to Ford and his family, but yeah, it's kind of it's kind of unfortunate, but like you also have to take into consideration the actors themselves, like whether they want to do another one or whether they are available to do another one. Like Madison, Josh, and Nathan are not going to be in this next one, but Andrews, Gia, and of course Bernie are all going to be. There's going to be a new guy called Trapper, and I guess he's going to be like he's going to be the new lead guy, so to speak, but.
Okay. See, that's the thing. It's like every movie, it seems like there's a new lead guy or girl. Like, I want to see Jonah come back. I want to see Maddie come back. Like,
yeah, well,
imagine Jurassic World and Owen's in Jurassic World, and then in Fallen Kingdom it's just some random new dude. You know what I mean? They're like, Owen's still here, we think. I don't know. It's just a little gripe, but.
Well, I mean, they kind of have a new villain pretty much in every Jurassic thing.
That's true.
That shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, most of them actually die, and Brennan in Jurassic Park 3, he's sort of the villain because of the little fallout he and Alan have just before the cage sequence, but he's not an outright villain like all the other guys. Like the one guy wants money. The first guy wants money. The second guy wants to make money, exploiting the dinosaurs. The third guy is just some guy who wants to use raptors as weapons. The fourth guy wants to sell dinosaurs to people who want to use them as weapons or whatever. And then, of course, the last
There's a
guy,
lot of money in weapons.
Yeah, and then of course the last guy just, is just what you ultimately get from a narcissist. Like he doesn't take any responsibility. He's just like, whatever, we'll try again some other time, kind of thing. Instead of
even though they recast him, but it's all good.
Well, that guy is in jail, so but at least they recast him. They didn't just throw him out the door.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But it'll be interesting. Like, unlike in GVK, I think it will be like one thing going. It's not going to be two separate things like in GVK and GXK. It's going to be one thing. So, and I mean, the fact that we do get Bernie and Andrews interacting for the first time, that's one thing I was kind of hoping for in the other one, is that the two parties would meet and then maybe have a small argument over who's better, kind of thing. Team Godzilla versus
Who's
Team
better
Kong,
with the monsters?
but But it'll be
Yeah.
interesting for sure, and I don't mind Bernie personally. I mean, he doesn't actually scream as much as you made it sound in your review. And that one time in the big chamber with Mechagodzilla, I mean, you gotta admit, you would probably have done the same thing just to see how big of an echo it has.
Yeah, I would have peed my pants. I would have died.
I mean, even in Dial of Destiny, they do that in the Ear of Dionysus or whatever. So every time there's a big empty-looking chamber, anybody would have done that. It's not being a toddler. It's just doing what you would naturally do. Scream into it.
Yeah.
See the echoes. Carry on.
Yeah, go ba 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 ba.
But yeah,
good stuff. But no, I am grateful that I saw them. I had a lot of fun with them, and I genuinely can't wait for the next ones. And I am gonna have to look into Monarch, that Blu-ray. Is it on Blu-ray or just DVD?
Well, on eBay it looked like it was just on Blu-ray, but hopefully, if I don't know, I'm kind of skeptical because sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes I have gotten stuff and the discs don't look very good, and as a result, they don't play very good. But I'm hoping, this will work, and like the Skull Island thing works fine that I have.
Yeah.
So,
well, you bought it. This is like a new purchase, right?
Yeah, this is a new thing, and
okay.
But
it should work.
It should work. And there's kind of two versions. One had the Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell's names on the front, and then the other one just had like Apple TV Plus and then like names of a couple of guys that did the show or something. But I got the other one.
Oh, I see.
But I know. Like, hopefully it will work. And hopefully it's at least stomachable, because apparently, episode 5 is really the one that has the W stuff in it.
I wasn't made aware.
Well, I did post it on Discord here. But I think it's just that episode, and so I can stomach it, I guess, if it is just one episode and it's mostly just like a flashback kind of thing. I think that's what it was.
Right. Okay.
Because like they kind of have two timelines per episode. Like there's the main 2015 timeline in all the episodes, and then there's a different one for each other one. And I think the last one is actually a 2017 timeline. So. But
interesting.
But like I said, I'm willing to stomach it if it's 10 episodes, not 22 or whatever. So, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm pumped. I wanted to see Godzilla -1, 2 one day, but. Yeah, no, I'm excited for the Monsterverse, dude. And then we got, for the next podcast, we got Valhalla, and then I want to talk about, there's this new Indiana Jones game called The Great Circle.
Yeah.
I have some opinion. I'm going to make my own video on that, but I have some...
Actually, one topic we can move on to just quickly, hopefully, if you don't mind. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I might have to put this into 2 videos, though.
Yeah, this one might take a while, because you'd have to explain it a lot. But I wanted to talk about the Force Dyad. But we'll save that for next time. I've got like 9 or 10 topics here now that I've been saving up. So
perfect.
But
it'll give me something to look forward to for the next one.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you like the movies overall, I mean, like, it wasn't my goal to make one, make you like one over the other or anything, I mean, I was clearly wrong when I assumed that King of the Monsters being the worst one, apparently, would end up being your favorite, but... Well, I didn't quite say all of them. I didn't quite say the best of all of them. I think I said of the 3 that you hadn't seen yet, but still.
Right.
But it wasn't my goal to make make Skull Island, get beaten or anything. It's just, I want, you saw Skull Island, and I'm like, how could you see that without seeing the rest now?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I was too invested.
There's so much more to it than just Kong killing one giant skull crawler and then whatever happens.
Yeah.
So.
And then also I gotta watch Young Indiana Jones, and again, thanks for that. I gotta watch those, 'cause that looks awesome too.
Yeah. Well, I only got.
So between that and.
Yeah, this will be the last thing because we're getting to an hour and a half here. But yeah, I only got that because I was on eBay because I ordered I forget what I was looking at on eBay, or no, maybe it was Amazon. Yeah, and I was watching our last podcast, and you were saying how you wanted to see it, but it was hard to find, and I thought, well, that would be a nice Christmas present to give them, and so.
Yeah, and it was, because I saw one at the exchange, and it was like really broken and dirty looking, and I'm like, I could buy this for like $10, but
yeah,
it was only, I think it was just like volume or season 1. It looked like death.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, between that and the Great Circle game coming out, which we'll tackle in the next one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool. I mean, it's sad that the indie movies are done, but it looks like we're getting more in the universe, which is always cool. Even though, no, I'll save it for the next one because I'm gonna go on a tangent. I'll save it for next time.
We're past it. We're an hour and a half plus one. So, but
yeah. So thank you guys for. If you say, I don't know what I'm doing, I might put this into 2 videos because I'm trying to upload the one with Echo Killshot and me, and that's just an hour. And I've been trying that since like 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Not done yet.
And we knew this was going to be a big one.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe not this big.
I don't know how I'm doing this. It'll either be 2 videos or just one long video. It might be 2. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I had a lot of fun talking again. And again, thank you for giving me the Monsterverse. I'm very excited that I saw them. Yeah. And they're pretty good.
You'll have to watch them again before GXK comes out.
Yeah, I will for sure. I might bring them over to Nanny and Poppy's house if they're still listening at this point. Because I like to bring movies over there. And we just finished watching all the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be the next one.
Yeah. But yeah, hope you all you guys enjoyed our Monsterverse, talk. We don't usually talk about one thing the whole time, but this is one I've been waiting for, so
we had to do it.
Yeah. But
it was fun though. It was a good time because we can make a 6-hour podcast talking about. I mean, there's a lot of ground to cover in these movies.
Yeah, which we don't have time for right now, but. We can always
stupid school.
Every time I bring it up in the future, though, hopefully you'll know what I'm talking about. Unless it's a scene like the post-credit scene of King of the Monsters that you didn't see, but
yeah,
you'll you'll know what I'll talk about. What I'm talking about whenever I bring it up in the future.
Right.
So
finally,
yeah. So no more tiptoeing and teasing on my end.
Nope. You just go straight up now.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. I had a lot of fun, and we have a lot more to cover for the next podcast. Make sure to like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to Recon Trooper and myself. Had a lot of fun doing this again, and I am excited to tackle the next one, hopefully
the next
sooner
one
rather than later.
Because, the next one will definitely be sooner. This one was just because of on your end.
Yeah.
So... But anyways, yeah. So.
All right, hope you guys enjoyed. And I will have a link for Recon Troopers channel down below. And tell me down below what you think about the Monsterverse. Are you excited about Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire? And what's your favorite Monsterverse movie? And dude, can't wait to do more. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
Later, folks.